Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and today we're talking about a really big subject. I've actually been postponing this because I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'll be able to explain it properly. What if I, say it in a klutzy way, whatever. And today I'm like, you know what? The best I can do is try, and if there's a lot of questions afterwards, then I can always make a part 2 or a Q&A episode about this over on TikTok or somewhere else, but I have to make this episode because it is one of those questions that I've been getting a lot of, and I understand why. So the thing we're talking about today is destiny and Gadr, and the way that the law of attraction and manifesting something into existence can take place if everything needs to be, permissible by Allah before it can happen, and if our destinies are already written. And yeah, that was a lot. I probably could have said that a lot better, but basically, how can we manifest our future if it's already been written for us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I fully understand this question because I had the same question a few years ago, and I was like, this can't be. But in my perspective, it wasn't necessarily how can we manifest. It was more, how does free will exist if our destiny is already written? How can we have free will if Allah has already decided for us what's going to happen next? And I posed this question to my dad, and for those who haven't been told by now, because I do share it on my TikTok sometimes, my dad is an imam and he's a revert Muslim, and he's very knowledgeable, has spent a good 50 years of his life studying Islam, and is quite respected in the field. And I asked him about it because I thought, it doesn't make sense to me how one can have free will and also be able to have a destiny written for them at the same time. To me, it seemed like it was contradicting itself. And you might have the same feelings. I would say that's quite normal to feel that way. And my dad actually really explained it so well. And I'm going to try and do the same thing for you today, and hopefully I can. I wish I could say it verbatim the way that my dad said it because he explained it so well, but I honestly don't remember because it's a few years ago and I didn't write it down or anything. But I just remember it, that it had such a huge impact and it made sense for me. So let's talk a little bit of quantum physics. Hello and welcome to Quantum Physics Explained by Zara, who is definitely not a quantum physician. But very, very basic quantum physics understanding or whatever. I don't know. It's not even understanding because I still don't understand it. But let's talk about time and quantum physics, because time has been one of those things that within quantum physics we are still trying to figure out. It's still sort of like an immeasurable thing. It is something that we have made up in this world to make plans in order for us to understand what seasons we're in, to understand when to sow certain crop, and in recent times it's so we can schedule our work week, our leisure time, these kinds of activities. But time is something that we have made up in our own world that is only applicable to us in this world. And when I say this world, I don't mean in this dunya, I mean this specific on earth. Because the moment we start traveling some distance away from earth, time changes. Time is not the same and it's not equal everywhere, which again is such an interesting thing about time, and which is again why it is such an immeasurable thing that a lot of people are still trying to figure out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know time because I really don't. The more I think about it, the more confused I get, the more of a headache when I really try to figure it out. This is why clearly I'm not a quantum physician and never will be, but I will understand what I need to understand about it to make sense of my day. So obviously with time not being this linear, very A to B to C to D kind of equation for, the whole of the universe and the whole of existence, it begs to question the way that Qadr, our destinies and free will then comes into play, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while He understands our timeline, the way that we have set up our time to work and operate for us, He does not submit to that timeline. He is above that timeline and somewhere completely outside of it. And this is what makes it so interesting, because to Allah, while we're sitting here and we're thinking, well, it's also a Tuesday or a Monday or whatever, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no thing as Monday, Tuesday to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is, while we're thinking of it as like, oh, Ya Rab, can I have something by Thursday? Allah doesn't see Thursday. Does that make sense? Oh my God, I'm already like, does it make sense to you? Please say yes. And you can't answer me, but I'm going to just continue and hope that you're understanding what I'm putting down here. Okay, please pick up what I'm putting down. And if not, then let me know by messaging me, reaching out and letting me know, and I'll try and explain it better in another episode. But time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way that my dad explained it that I thought was so fascinating was that it's happening all at once, has happened and will happen, and all of those timelines exists at the same time. Okay, 1 second, my chickens are going mad and I'm sure you can hear it because they're being really, really loud. So give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I just gotta go shush them. I am so sorry about that. Well, it wouldn't have mattered to you that much, because clearly, like, I can just start and stop the recording when I need to. It was my turkey and my main rooster, the boss rooster. They were fighting right outside the window where I'm sitting and recording. Oh my goodness, men, what can I say? It crosses species, ladies. It's not just human men, it's all men. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying about the timeline for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, not timeline, time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because He's above time, of course. Oh my God, I feel like I'm like, I'm so sorry. Okay, so He's above time, the way that we understand time, meaning that everything is happening, at the same time. The past, the present, the future, and whatever other timelines might exist at the same time that we don't even understand or comprehend or even know exist, right? Which means that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while it to us seems almost incomprehensible, He knows exactly everything that's happening at one time, and He's also managing everything at one time, meaning that while He has given us free will, He has also seen everything that we're going to do with that free will and has facilitated every decision that we're making. So He's not making the decisions for us, He's facilitating every choice and turn and decision that we're making in a heartbeat, almost. Like it's happening so very quickly, because again, it's not our timeline and we don't understand it. And the thing about it is that while we know, the past, present and the future, there are several other timelines that exist on the same, at the same time next to us. And these are, you've probably heard people talking about quantum jumping or quantum leaping into another timeline. This is actually not an absurd way of thinking. It is a complex way of thinking. If you look at time the way that most people do in this comprised state of Monday to Friday, 2001, 2002, this is my timeline. I woke up here, I'm going to wake up there, or went to sleep there, I'm going to wake up there as well. But if you're looking at time as in at any moment that you're making a decision, you're choosing another destiny for yourself. And if you continue down one, that was a little message. Let me just make sure that that's okay. So every time you're choosing another, whenever you're making a decision for yourself, you are then choosing another destiny. And Allah has already seen the outcomes of that destiny as well. So He has seen every single one of the possible destinies you could possibly have, considering every choice and decision and turn He will place in front of you. So this is where it gets, I get it. This is where it gets really confusing. And I too, I'm like, wow, okay, wait a minute. Because if I'm thinking too much about it, it almost hurts my head. But we have not been born with only one destiny. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not created us with one destiny, because again, that would kind of eliminate the purpose of the free will. The free will is there for us to discern between what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and why we want to do it, and then that will in turn shape our future and what destiny we're going to go into, right? But it's up to us to make those decisions. Meanwhile, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created X amount of destinies for you depending on every single decision that you're making. So this is why, I don't know if you've seen those, I think it was Black Mirror back in the day who made this interactive movie type series thing where you can make the decision, pick up the phone, not pick up the phone. And something as simple as that, you know, are you going to answer when this person calls, are you not, can change the destinies and the ways of like how everybody else around you and how your destiny is going to unfold, right? And this is what makes it so exciting, because this means that while everything is written, it's because Allah has given He has facilitated it. He has made it permissible for you to do it. And when I say permissible, I'm not talking about halal, haram. I'm talking about giving you, what's it called? The green light to go ahead and do the thing that you're making a decision to do. And this can be good things and bad things. He doesn't just allow for good things to happen. He also allows you to make bad decisions, because again, free will, you have to make these decisions on your own. So even if he's not necessarily too proud of the direction you're going and the timeline and the destiny that you're going towards, he will still facilitate it because it's your decisions, and that's what you have to stand trial for on Judgment Day, right? But this is the point of, you know, using the law of attraction and manifesting within Islam, is understanding that we have more than one destiny. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with more than one qadr. He has created us to be able to make decisions for ourselves and choose the destiny and the way that we're going to get into that destiny. So at any moment, any one of the destinies, any one of the timelines that is available to us, we can choose that. We can choose that direction, we can choose that timeline, we can choose that destiny. But that's the point, is that we have to make those decisions. We're the ones who have to make those choices. We're the ones who have to go down those roads, do the things and become that person, right? And when I say become that person, I don't mean that like you have to change necessarily a lot about you, but you have to change maybe your mindset and maybe some habits that you do on a daily basis, right? But it's available to you. There are so many destinies available to you, so many timelines available to you, and each one of those timelines Allah already knows and sees. He already, again, because he's so above any timeline that we could even imagine, he already knows what's going to happen in those timelines. What he's waiting for us to decide, and what we have the free will to manifest and decide upon, is which one of the timelines we're stepping into and how we're allowing certain fortunes or misfortunes to come into our lives. This is what we can decide. And that is where our free will reigns, sort of, that is how much allowance Allah has given us in this dunya. He said, I will give you free will, knowing that nothing can happen without my permission. However, I will allow for this many timelines to exist at the same time, or possibilities to exist. Maybe I should say it like that. There's this many possibilities depending on what your decision is. And each one of these possibilities I am allowing to happen, but it has to happen based on your decision. So any one of them can only happen based on your decisions. That is where we're manifesting our reality. Okay. I feel like I could probably continue just kind of mumbling my way through well, not mumbling, but babbling my way through this, and probably just make it more convoluted. But I feel like I want to leave it here for now. And if you have questions, or if there's something specifically that doesn't make sense, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. Please do feel free to send me a message. Please also, let me just finish one sentence. I have this horrible, I think it's like ADHD habit of like interrupting myself. Please feel free to reach out, send me a message, ask me the questions. I would be happy to have this conversation, because I think it is so interesting. And the more we understand the capacity of our free will, and also the immense allowance and trust that Allah has bestowed upon us through this free will, and his his trust in us and his faith in us as his servants to choose the right direction and the right path and the right qadr, the more incredible and amazing it becomes to then also be a master of your own free will. And when I say master, I obviously don't mean it as in like, oh, I'm the almighty co-creator or some bullshit like that. We're not doing that kind of shirk. But in our reality, in this dunya right here, right now, how much we can actually control for ourselves and how much we needn't, give up on the, oh, it's written for me, I can't do anything, but that to take back that control. Wow, that was loud. But to take back the control in our own lives, to make the decisions and understand how much allowance Allah has given us to take control, to change our destinies, to make decisions for ourselves. I think that is my my smallest rooster right now that's just learned how to cock-a-doodle-doo, and he is telling me, you know what, Zara, you said 5 minutes ago you will finish talking about it and you're continuing to talk about it, so you need to shut up now. So I'm going to trust that what needed to be said for now has been said. What I wanted to say though, when I abruptly, you're very cute, but can you go somewhere else and do that? When I interrupted myself was, if you want a longer, if you're asking for advice, please send me messages over on Instagram, because it allows me to send voice notes. I hate messaging, text messaging. So I appreciate that a lot of you are sending me messages over on TikTok, but I'm kind of directing you all back to Instagram just because I can voice note you back a reply. So if you're listening to this and you've got questions, please, I want the questions, just send them to me over on Instagram. It's just at manifesting Muslima, and let me know over there, because then it'll be easier for me to reply to you, and it'll just kind of save us that whole ping pong of playing over on TikTok, like, hey, can you, and this is where it is, and just link in my bio, and then you have to go over there and rephrase your whole question again for Instagram and all that stuff. So anyway, I can just continue talking. I love hearing my own voice, apparently. Anyway, I hope there was something beneficial for you. I hope there was something in this episode specifically that can help you maybe look at time or think about time in a different way, and help you maybe do your own research as well on time and our qadr in this world, and our different qadrs as well in this dunya, but that it'll give you some food for thought. Do reach out, let me know, of course, and I'm going to leave it here. So until next time, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.